Hello viewers, once again it's me, Edward Nomer, and this is another episode of Verse Breakdown. The verse that I want to break down for you viewers today is Hebrews chapter 12 verse 1. And in that verse, St. Paul had stated, "Wherefore seeing we also are compassed about, with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin that doth so easily beset us." To start off with, the cloud of witnesses were the other righteous ones of God, talked about in the previous chapter of Hebrews, chapter 11, where characters like Abraham, Noah, Isaac, Jacob, Rebecca, Sarah, all those other righteous ones of God that were labeled righteous in the Bible were all talked about in that Hebrews chapter 11 from verses 4 straight down to the end, verse 40. But what is that sin that doth so easily beset us? What is that weight that we should lay aside? Well, those weights and those sins vary from person to person. Many of those are mentioned in Romans chapter 1, from verses 28 to 32, 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 11, chapter 6 and verses 9 and 10, and Galatians chapter 5, from verses 19 to 21. Adultery, fornication, emulations, heresy, strife, and all other kinds of things. And there are stories in the Bible of people who had occasion to meet this sin that they are supposed to lay aside and overcome. And there were some people who were successful in doing so, and there were some people that weren't. For example, in 2 Samuel chapter 11, we see that David had committed adultery with Bathsheba. Most of us are probably familiar with that story, and then even killed Uriah so that Bathsheba could permanently, without any cause or harm, be his wife. However, in 2 Samuel chapter 12, Nathan came and told him that this is terrible, the thing that you have done, and the Lord is very angry with you. And even though David repented, his house was scattered as a result. And if you read it from chapter 13, we see how the whole story went. And if we even read chapter 16 from verses 5 to 14, we see where Shimei was cursing David, throwing stones and rocks and dust at him. It was a very shameful thing. But David did not give up and eventually came back up to be successful again. And in Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16, King Solomon, talking about such people, had stated, "For a just man falleth 7 times, and riseth up again, but the wicked shall fall into mischief." An example of somebody who fell and never came back up was King Solomon after marrying those 700 wives from the lands of Edom, Moab, Ammon, Sidon, etc. in 1 Kings chapter 11. It was a sin he committed, and he never came back to be labeled as righteous ever again. He started well by offering 1,000 burnt sacrifices to prove his devotion and commitment, but he eventually deteriorated and he was never labeled righteous again. Jesus himself was even concerned about Peter, which is why he was telling Peter in John chapter 21 from verses 15 to 18, "Lovest thou me more than these? If so, feed my lambs." He was very worried about Peter because he was not the most straight or dogged person, and we saw that in his later history, like in Acts chapter 11. We ourselves have to lay aside that weight, whether it is emulations, wanting to copy everybody else that is around us, whether it is adultery, if we are very into that, or whatever sin it is, because everybody, including myself, has his or her own. But the goal is we should ask God for help so that we can get rid of such things. Like David the psalmist, the psalm that he had written when he committed adultery in Psalms chapter 51 verse 7. "Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow." And I intend to talk no further on breaking down the verse, Hebrews chapter 12 verse 1. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned something, most importantly. Please shout to subscribe, share this video, click the notification bell, and also stay tuned for the more breakdowns that we have in this series. Thank you for listening.